Okay, so I'm reading the Bible for the first time, and I have to talk about it because it is really something special. This is Deuteronomy Part 2. If you want to see Part 1 or any of the previous books, those are all already posted on my page. Basically, we're just going over rules that God is telling Moses to tell everybody else, and these are just the ones that stuck out to me. Um, if you get married and you sleep with your wife and then you realize you don't like her, literally what it says in the Bible, if not liking her stands for something else, whatever. Um, it's her dad's responsibility to prove to everybody that she is a virgin in front of everybody. How he's proving this, I'm not sure. If she is a virgin, then the husband has to pay the dad a fine of 100 shekels, and they have to stay married and they can't get divorced. If she was not a virgin, then she's stoned to death. Cheaters get stoned to death. This to me was giving Major Kristen Doty vibes, only because I'm thinking about the set of episodes where they're in New Orleans for Schwartz and Katie's bachelor and bachelorette party, and they go do like a tour of New Orleans and the places where people died, and they show like a supercut of the tour guide being like, yeah, so then he was like tarred and feathered to death, and every single clip Doty's like drinking her drink and is like, probably a cheater, he probably got killed because he cheated. Yeah, that's what happens when you're a cheater. And so I just think that she would love this, is that all cheaters are stoned to death. She is a real thing for cheaters. Okay, if a guy sexually assaults a virgin, he has to pay her dad a fine of 50 shekels, so less than the other one, and then he has to marry her and they can't divorce. If a man sexually assaults an engaged woman, he's stoned to death, but if it's consensual, then they're both stoned to death. If a guy sexually assaults a virgin, I just said that. Okay, special. Then randomly, I've just put in more rules as a placeholder. Then randomly, he goes on this tangent about like when you're camping where you're supposed to go use the restroom. And all of the rules were pretty like intuitive. I would say this is what most people would do if they were camping and there was not an actual bathroom around. I just thought it was really interesting that he's like, also this. I don't know what people were doing otherwise. Surprise me. Okay. Then I don't know if this one is really that interesting, but I didn't get it, and I tried to look it up, and it didn't make sense to me. If there are two brothers, and one brother is married, and he dies without a son, this brother has to marry his widow, and they have to name their son after the dead brother. If the alive brother doesn't want to marry the widow gets to spit in his face in front of everybody and take his sandal off of his foot, and then the family will forever be known as the family of the unsandaled. I tried to Google, like, what does unsandaled mean? What is the symbolism? And I swear to God, all I could find is that the foot and the sandal are symbolic of the respective genitalia and, like, being separated, I guess. Okay. So then God is doing his whole, like, if you follow me, you'll be blessed, but if you don't follow me, you'll be cursed. And of course, the cursing is 5 times longer, I put specifically 4 times longer than the blessing. And he is, again, going sicko mode on this in a way that I can hardly comprehend. He says, you will live in constant suspense, filled with dread both day and night, never sure of your life. In the morning you will say, if only it were the evening, and in the evening, if only it were the morning, because of the terror that will fill your hearts and the sights that your eyes will see. And he also says you're going to be so miserable that you're going to try to go back to Egypt and become a slave, and nobody will even buy you, because that's how worthless you are. Let me do this the actual normal way that people do it. Then God tells Moses, like, you're about to die, and I know that the Israelites are going to betray me, and that's really going to suck. Like, as soon as they get to the promised land, they're going to completely forget where they came from, and I am going to have to ruin their lives in a way that they could not have anticipated, and we'll never know. And Moses goes and is like, you know what I think that this situation needs is, like, a really good song. Like, God has just told you that you are going to pass away. You're never going to the promised land. And in fact, when all the people that you shepherded to the promised land get there, God already knows that they're going to betray him and that he is going to ruin their lives. And you're just like, I think I need to sing about this. I think I really need to sing about this. So the song is basically, he's retelling their journey in Exodus and how amazing God is, and then basically you guys are going to piss God off, and this is what's going to happen to you. And let me tell you exactly this part. Okay, so this part of the song is when he's saying, like, what's going to happen. I will send wasting famine against them, consuming pestilence and deadly plague. I will send against them the fangs of wild beasts, the venom of vipers that glide in the dust. In the street the sword will make them childless, in their homes terror will reign. The young men and women will perish, and infants and those with gray hair. I said I would scatter them and erase their name from human memory, but I dreaded the taunt of the enemy, lest the adversary misunderstand and say, our hand has triumphed, the Lord has not done all this. So basically, like, he would get rid of all of them, but because he doesn't want other people to think that they won and that it wasn't his plan all along, he'll keep them alive. Like, what the whole thing is just so, like, it's like whiplash. And there is, I will be fair, there's a little bit at the end of the story where he's like, okay, like, I'm gonna make it good again, like, I'll give you shelter, and everything will be cool, and everybody will, like, rejoice, and everything will work out in the end, but it'll take a couple of generations. Then Moses dies on top of the mountain, and Deuteronomy kind of ends with them being like, Moses was the GOAT. Like, Moses was the best to ever do it. Nobody will ever do it like him again. He is number one. And then that leads us into Joshua coming up next. So that is the recap of Deuteronomy.